The Birmingham Six were 6 men: Hugh Callaghan, Patrick Joseph Hill, Gerard Hunter, Richard McIlkenny, William Power and John Walker, sentenced to life imprisonment in 1975 in England for the Birmingham Pub Bombings. Their convictions were declared unsafe and unsatisfactory and quashed by the Court of Appeal on March 14, 1991. The 6 men were later awarded compensation ranging from £840,000 to £1.2 million. Birmingham Pub Bombings. The Birmingham Pub Bombings took place on November 21, 1974 and were attributed to the Provisional IRA. The devices were placed in 2 central Birmingham pubs, the Mulberry Bush at the foot of the Rotunda, and the Tavern in the Town, a basement pub in New Street. The resulting explosions, at 2025 and 2027, collectively were the most injurious and serious attacks in Great Britain since World War II. 21 people were killed and 182 people were injured. A third device, outside a bank in Hagley Road, failed to detonate. Arrests and questioning. 6 men were arrested, of whom 5 were Belfast-born Roman Catholics, while John Walker was born in Derry. All 6 had lived in Birmingham since the 1960s. 5 of the men, Hill, Hunter, McIlkenny, Power and Walker, had left the city early on the evening of November 21 from New Street Station, shortly before the explosions. They were travelling to Belfast to attend the funeral of James MacDade, an IRA member who had accidentally killed himself while planting a bomb in Coventry. They were seen off from the station by Callaghan. When they reached Heysham, they and others were subject to a special branch stop and search. The men did not tell the police of the true purpose of their visit to Belfast, a fact that was later held against them. While the search was in progress, the police were informed of the Birmingham bombings. The men agreed to be taken to Morecambe Police Station for forensic tests. On the morning of November 22, after the forensic tests and questioning at the hands of the Morecambe Police, the men were transferred to the custody of West Midlands Serious Crime Squad Police Unit. William Power alleged that he was assaulted by members of Birmingham Criminal Investigation Department. Callaghan was taken into custody on the evening of November 22. While the men were in the custody of the West Midlands Police, they were deprived of food and sleep. They were interrogated sometimes for up to 12 hours without a break. Threats were made against them and the beatings started, ranging from punches, letting dogs within a foot of them and being the subjects of a mock execution. Billy Power confessed while in Morecambe, while Hugh Callaghan, John Walker and Richard McIlkenny confessed at Queen's Road and Aston, with Paddy Hill and Gerard Hunter not signing any documents. Trial. On May 12, 1975, the 6 men were charged with murder and conspiracy to cause explosions. 3 other men, James Kelly, Michael Murray and Michael Sheehan, were charged with conspiracy, and Kelly and Sheehan also faced charges of unlawful possession of explosives. The trial began on June 9, 1975 at the Crown Court sitting at Lancaster Castle, before Mr. Justice Bridge and a jury. After legal arguments, the statements made in November, the unreliability of which was subsequently established, were deemed admissible as evidence. Thomas Watt provided circumstantial evidence about John Walker's association with Provisional IRA members. Forensic scientist Dr. Frank Scouse used positive grease test results to claim that Hill and Power had handled explosives. Callaghan, Hunter, McIlkenny and Walker all had tested negative. GCMS tests at a later date were negative for Power and contradicted the initial results for Hill. Scouse's claim that he was 99% certain that Power and Hill had explosives traces on their hands was opposed by defense expert Dr. Hugh Kenneth Black of the Royal Institute of Chemistry, the former HM Chief Inspector of Explosives, Home Office. Scouse's evidence was clearly preferred by Bridge. The jury found the 6 men guilty of murder. On August 15, 1975, they were each sentenced to 21 life sentences. Criminal charges against prison officers and civil actions against police. On November 28, 1974, the men appeared in court for the second time after they had been remanded into custody at HM Prison Winson Green. All showed bruising and other signs of ill treatment. 14 prison officers were charged with assault in June 1975, but were all acquitted at a trial presided over by Mr. Justice Swanwick. The Six brought a civil claim for damages against the West Midlands Police in 1977, which was struck out on January 17, 1980 by the Court of Appeal, constituted by the Master of the Rolls, Lord Denning, Gough L.J. and Sir George Baker, under the principle of estoppel. During proceedings, prison officers and police were blamed for the beatings. A prisoner released from prison 2 weeks after the Six were admitted testified to the beatings the 6 men had received. Appeals. In March 1976 their first application for leave to appeal was dismissed by the Court of Appeal, presided over by Lord Widgery C.J. Journalist Chris Mullin investigated the case for Granada TV's World in Action series. In 1985, the first of several World in Action programs casting doubt on the men's convictions was broadcast. In 1986, Mullin's book, Era of Judgement, The Truth About the Birmingham Pub Bombings, set out a detailed case supporting the men's claims that they were innocent. It included his claim to have met some of those who were actually responsible for the bombings. The Home Secretary, Douglas Hurd MP, referred the case back to the Court of Appeal. In January 1988, after a 6-week hearing, the convictions were ruled to be safe and satisfactory. The Court of Appeal, presided over by the Lord Chief Justice Lord Lane, dismissed the appeals. Over the next 3 years newspaper articles, television documentaries and books brought forward new evidence to question the safety of the convictions, while campaign groups calling for the men's release were formed in Britain, Ireland, Europe and the US. Their second full appeal, in 1991, was allowed. Hunter was represented by Lord Gifford QC, others by human rights solicitor Gareth Park. New evidence of police fabrication and suppression of evidence, the successful attacks on both the confessions and the 1975 forensic evidence caused the Crown to decide not to resist the appeals. The Court of Appeal, constituted by Lord Justices Lloyd, Mustill and Farquharson, stated of the forensic evidence that Dr. Scous's conclusion was wrong, and demonstrably wrong, judged even by the state of forensic science in 1974. In 2001, a decade after their release, the 6 men were awarded compensation ranging from £840,000 to £1.2 million. Consequences. The success of the appeals and other miscarriages of justice caused the Home Secretary to set up a Royal Commission on Criminal Justice in 1991. The Commission reported in 1993 and led to the Criminal Appeal Act 1995, which established the Criminal Cases Review Commission in 1997. Superintendent George Reed and 2 other police officers were charged with perjury and conspiracy to pervert the course of justice but were never prosecuted. Granada Television Productions. On March 28, 1990, ITV broadcast the Granada television documentary drama, Who Bombed Birmingham?, which reenacted the bombings and subsequent key events in Chris Mullin's campaign. Written by Rob Ritchie and directed by Mike Beckham, it starred John Hurt as Mullin, Martin Shaw as World in Action producer Ian McBride, and Patrick Malahide as Michael Mansfield. It was repackaged for export as The Investigation, a Euro-Insider terrorist bombing, and first shown on American television on April 22, 1990. Granada's BAFTA-nominated follow-up documentary after the release of the Six, World in Action special, The Birmingham Six, Their Own Story, was transmitted on March 18, 1991. It was released on DVD in 2007 in Network DVD's first volume of World in Action Productions. In 1994, forensic scientist Frank Scous brought libel proceedings against Granada, contending that World in Action had falsely portrayed him as negligent. His counsel asserted in the High Court that scientific tests performed in 1992, after the Crown's substantive concession of the accused men's third appeal, showed that traces of nitroglycerine were detected on swabs taken after the bombings from the hands of Gerard Hunter and Paddy Hill and on rail tickets handled by Richard McIlkenny and Billy Power. Granada maintained that there never were any traces of explosives on the 6 men. However, Scous abandoned the action. The Birmingham Six. In popular culture, The case of the Birmingham Six was referenced in the BBC TV show Bottom during the episode Burglary, first aired in October 1992, as part of Series 2 of the show. The character Richie, played by Rick Mile, is seen in a clip saying "Well done" on the Birmingham Six, by the way to two London Metropolitan policemen. Freedom of speech. Channel 4 was enjoined in December 1987 by the Court of Appeal of England and Wales from reenacting portions of a hearing in the court case because it was likely to undermine public confidence in the administration of justice if shown during their appeal, in violation of the Contempt of Court Act 1981. The decision has been criticised for having a chilling effect on other programmes. The New York Times indicated that the Six sued publications for reporting slurs against them. In 1993 and 1994 the Birmingham Six recovered an undisclosed amount from both the Sunday Telegraph and the Sun in an action for libel for the newspaper's reporting of police statements. See also, the Guildford 4 and Maguire 7, two sets of people falsely convicted of bombings carried out by the Provisional Irish Republican Army in the 1970s. Frank's Goose, Mick Murray, Streets of Sorrow Birmingham Six, a song by the Pogues in support of the Birmingham Six and Guildford 4, list of miscarriage of justice cases. References. Further reading, Criminal Cases Review Commission, House of Commons Debate, BBC On This Day, Innocence Network UK, Birmingham Pub Bombings, The Birmingham Framework, Kane Conflict Chronology, Miscarriages of Justice Organisation, Birmingham Six, Error of Judgement, The Truth About the Birmingham Bombings. Chris Mullin, The Birmingham Six and Other Cases. Louis Blom Cooper. ISBN 0-7156-2813-5. Forever Lost, Forever Gone. Paddy Joe Hill.